This week on Jerusalem Dateline, the Temple Mount in Israel's hands. 53 years after the historic Six-Day War, will Israel annex parts of biblical Judea and Samaria? And we'll look at the strategic Golan Heights. All this and more this week on Jerusalem Dateline. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell. 53 years ago, Israeli soldiers captured the old city of Jerusalem. Many see Israel's victory in the 1967 Six-Day War and the liberation of Jerusalem not only as a dramatic change in history, but as a fulfillment of prophecy. Here at the Lion's Gate on June 7, 1967, the 55th Paratrooper Brigade of Commander Mati Gore broke through Jordanian defenses. What happened next resonated around the world and electrified the Jewish people. Israel's victory in the Six-Day War stunned the world and became a turning point for Jewish immigration to the land of Israel.
Throughout the Old Testament, God says that he's going to draw the Jewish people back to the land. But what's interesting is that at that moment, when Mordechai Gur, the Israeli general, said on the radio, the Temple Mount is in our hand, it electrified Jewish communities all over the planet. The level of aliyah, Jews leaving their exile countries and coming back to the land of their forefathers, skyrocketed in the years ahead. Jerusalem is the epicenter. For 4,000 years, people have wanted this city, and they have fought hard to get it. And so the fact that Israel controls it today is biblical, it's prophetic, but it's also complicated. And we need to be praying for the peace of Jerusalem and praying for Israel to be secure.
When we talk about Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank, it's sometimes difficult to understand the area we're talking about. Here's a story we did several years ago, before President Trump's so-called deal of the century and the annexation plan. CBN's Scott Ross talked to Israelis who live there and about their commitment to the land and to the Bible.
Known to much of the world as the West Bank, Judea and Samaria of the Bible is today home to some 360,000 Jewish Israelis and at least 1.4 million Palestinian Arabs.
This is where Joshua stood before the Israelites and he said, "How long will you wait before coming to take possession of the land that the Lord God of your fathers has given you?" This is the place where the woman Hannah came to pray for a son. The son who was born from her prayers was Samuel, a prophet, who grew up into prophecy in Shiloh, along with the people of Israel.
And that is the issue that remains today. This is the land that God gave you.
Near the end of the Six-Day War, attention shifted away from here in Jerusalem. About 120 miles away, Israeli troops took control of the strategic Golan Heights. And just last year, President Trump officially recognized Israel's annexation of the Golan.
Whoever sits on the Golan Heights totally dominates this whole region.
That's in part because of the proximity to the Sea of Galilee. The Golan Heights shares borders with Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon, and Damascus is only 40 miles away. For decades, Syria controlled the Golan Heights. Here on the high ground overlooking the Sea of Galilee, Syrian artillery and snipers shot and shelled Israelis below. Children grew up running to bomb shelters, and residents lived under the constant threat of attack. Middle East expert Avi Melamed told me why this ground is so important.
Now, you have to remember, the Sea of Galilee is the biggest fresh water body in Israel, providing something like 25–30% of the water consumption or the fresh water consumption in Israel. Trying to launch a military front against Israel in the Golan Heights could result in a massive eruption, because Israel will not stand for that, and rightly so.
On the 49th anniversary of the Six-Day War, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made it very clear how Israel views the Golan Heights.
In the stormy region around us, Israel is the stabilizing factor. Israel is the solution, not the problem. The Golan Heights will forever remain in Israel's hands.
Well, thanks for joining us for this special edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm Chris Mitchell. We'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.